Festi fam, the time is now. Festival goers unite. Welcome to the Festiie Files Podcast, where we highlight inspiring stories and individuals within the festival community, because we all play a role on the festival experience, and each one of us has a story to tell. My name is Desmond Beristain, CEO and founder of Festiie, the festival smart band. And today is going to be fun because our guest is a diehard music festival lover. She loves the culture. She loves the industry. And actually, she loved it so much, she decided, well, I want to be involved in any which way. I think there are a lot of people who go to festivals and love the culture too, and everyone kind of just wants to find a way to be involved. Maybe that doesn't mean learning how to DJ and trying to get up there and perform. There's so many other aspects to the music festival experience, and that could even be from a marketing aspect. So we have someone that has a marketing background and a super organic story. Ladies and gentlemen, Kandi Q.
Hello.
Welcome to the Festiie Files Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just get right into it. You kind of made your way, just started reaching out, or what's your story? How did you get embedded in the culture and ultimately find yourself working in this space that you love?
Yeah, so I think it's good to preface that like my story isn't, I think a lot of people have the idea that, you got to know someone or you got to be born into it or, you graduate with a degree in it. But it's not necessarily the case. I think it's just you have to it's kind of just being creative and also just like letting fate take its course or like being open to, what's to come. And so I guess we'll start from the beginning. I started to go to my first festival was like Hard Summer, 2012 or 2013, whatever the last year at the historic park was. That was my first festival ever. I bought a ticket on the whim for that, the last day, which was Sunday. I think like Zed was headlining, and it was like such a magical experience, and I fell in love instantly. And was immediately hooked on the whole festival culture. At that time in my life, I decided, it was, there was something going on every month or something. So I found a way to kind of just like keep doing that type of stuff, and really just fell in love with festivals in general, like in the magic of it. And I've always been a big music person. So like, definitely like records versus live music is so different. And just, feeling the energy and like feeling people in real life and being around people that like love that same artist as much as you do is like a totally different feeling than like, listening to something on Spotify. So that's kind of like how I got into, falling in love with festivals. And this all was, during between my sophomore year and junior year of college. And around, at least my mentality at the time was like, okay, cool. Like this is the time that like a lot of people start, trying to find internships. Like, at least a lot of kids at my school were. And I started thinking like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Like I was a marketing major, but I didn't really know like what route I wanted to take. Cause like, if you know anything about marketing, like marketing is such a broad umbrella. There's like really so much you can do with that degree. And there's so many ways you can take it. And I just really didn't know like what industry I wanted to work in. And so, but I did know I liked marketing. And so I decided, I was like, well, I like music. Like I love festivals. Like maybe this is the career path I kind of want to explore. Maybe I want to go down. I didn't really know how to like get there, which I'm sure a lot of people don't. And so I don't really remember exactly what I Googled, but I'm pretty positive it was like something along the lines of like music industry internships, and like found a posting for a PR internship and just decided to email the publicist, and they just happened to have an opening. And so I kind of just started that following Monday. And that kind of just like started everything. And it, at the time I had like no idea that, I was kind of like still very new to the whole like dance music scene. Like I knew what I liked, but like I didn't know like the history or like, you know, even like a lot of the genres that are like within the whole like dance music umbrella. But so it really just opened my eyes to, you know, and kind of just educated me a lot. And looking back, um, having that internship was a bigger deal than I thought it was at the time. You know, like it kind of just, I think in my head, I was like so new to it. I was just like, this is a stepping ground. Like, I'm just going to like learn. And I did the whole 3 months that like a lot of internships give. And looking back, and like, I didn't realize what a big deal it was for me to have this internship until like I left, like when I was like applying for other jobs and internships, that people were like, oh my God, like you interned here. Like, and there was like, it was a big deal apparently. And I was like, yeah, like it's no big deal. And so, yeah, it's kind of like where I got my start.
Awesome. Yeah. I feel like, it's cool that you went into it like, you know what, I'm just learning. This is a stepping stone. And then to understand that, wow, it really is a stepping stone, but it set me up in so many other ways. So it can start off by just going online, typing in internships, starting there, applying, not getting down on yourself if you don't get it, and just looking for other opportunities, right? So how did that progress into other opportunities for you?
Yeah. So, I know it's unique for every person, whether you're in college or not. I know generally when you take the college route, um, depending on your major, depending on, the world, the industry you decide to go to, most people usually take like 1 or 2 internships throughout their college career. I decided to take like 4. So this happened, and like I basically, like when one would end, I would just apply for another one or like kind of overlap them. I think there was a point where I was working 2 internships at the same time, just because the way that it worked, I was able to do that. Because like my mentality at the time was like, I didn't like, I knew what I liked. I knew what I was interested in, but I didn't know really still like what I wanted to do fully. And so I was kind of just like experimenting. And that's the beauty of internships too. It's like a lot of people don't understand that is like, that's the whole point of internships, is you to try it out. Like it's a 3-month commitment usually. Like, yeah, sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're not, which is kind of maybe the downside, but like, that's the whole point. You're basically getting a real life experience. And like, if it's a good internship, they'll give you hands-on experience, and you'll like, you get to meet cool people. You get to get that, real life experience and try things out and to see if you liked it. I'm not gonna lie, there were definitely internships I took on that I didn't like. Like it just wasn't, it just wasn't like in my skill set, and like, I just didn't thrive in them. So I didn't continue in them, but there were other ones that I did. And like, it's kind of that way to like, figure out what you're good at and like what piques your like interest. So
what was the experience like in terms of, does you get this internship, and did you specifically know what you were going in for? Like, were you going to be marketing or PR and then what was like a day like?
Yeah. So there were definitely, I think, yeah, usually you do kind of have an idea of what, what your role or what type of, title you're going to have. I know like all the PR internships I had, they were very, very PR based, like, and I'm very like, and I would assume that most PR internships are kind of the same way. They're very hands-on, but like the internships that I had, they actually had me pitching, they had me writing press releases, and, and it was, and that's the thing, the best way to learn is to like do hands-on experiences. Like I know a lot of the good PR internships that I had were me writing pitches, and then like I would give it to the publicist, and they would, either come back with me with notes and be like, no, this, or they would like guide me and be like, or like basic research. Like, I mean, sometimes it seems like grunt work, but like you gotta learn the basics, before you can do like the full thing. You can't just kind of be like, just do stuff. Like there's a method to the madness, I guess. So you generally did, whenever I started a new internship, like maybe I didn't know in detail what things would look like. But you kind of had an idea. I do know this one internship that I had. It was so interesting how I happened upon it, because I think I just applied. It was a super big, and this is a funny thing too. Like what I find is like the vaguer is that a word? But like the more vague a post is, sometimes it's like a gold like opportunity. Like I found this really vague posting and I was just like, I don't know, like whatever. It's just, it has to do with marketing. I need an internship. And it was like offering money. And I was like, sure, like $15 an hour. Like I'm down. Like, okay, cool. So I go, I have this interview and I was like super candid in the interview. I was like, what do you guys do? Like, I'm just like, you guys, your post was very big. I tried to look you guys up. I don't really know what this is. And to find out when I got to the office, it was Red Bull Records office. And it was like like a subsidiary of Red Bull that they had like under a different name, and they did like festival sponsorships for Red Bull. Like that was their only client because they were Red Bull. And so that was kind of like my first real taste in the like event sponsorship world, and like and even like the influencer sponsor world. Like this is before influencers were really like a thing. Like, you know, they were very focused on like musicians though. Like they would basically supply like green rooms, festival, like backstages and stuff like that. Even like agencies, like management offices and stuff like that with just Red Bull, in hopes of getting like a candid shot or a mention of Red Bull somewhere in like press. So yeah, it's like, yeah. So,
wow, that's so cool. Red Bull.
No, it's so random, but it's like, I don't know, you never know. Like, I mean, it's like sometimes like I said, like sometimes a vague, like don't dismiss the vague posts. Sometimes like, sometimes they might not lead anywhere, but like sometimes they do lead someplace cool.
Cool. And so you start off in marketing, right? And what's the importance of that for an artist in general? Because we go to festivals, we go to events, we see the artists on stage and we think, wow, you know, they're amazing, and they are amazing. But we don't see, you know, when we're going on Spotify, pressing play on a track, we don't see everything that went to getting you to that moment, to getting you to finding the artist, to getting you to pressing play, to getting you to that experience. Maybe you could talk about that from behind the scenes, what you saw and how that plays to the overall branding and image of an artist.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said before, like marketing is such a broad umbrella. There's so many things you can do with it. And I always say this, like, a lot of people have this or maybe they only have a narrow view of what marketing can be, and that's generally like social media or, you know, digital marketing. That's generally like people's first thought when they think marketing, but there is so much more that can go into it. There's physical marketing that could be anything from like event planning to, and then there's like the PR aspect of things, which is like earned media. And then there's like, you know, social media, like any type of ads you may want, like any branding, which can be like a logo or like print material or just any type, and even digital material, like whether it's like an album cover or something like that. But like marketing plays such a huge role. Like you could be the most talented musician in the world, but no one will know unless you have marketing. Like that's just point blank period. Like no one will know who you are unless you have a good marketing team. And like a lot of people don't see that. Like, you know, it takes a lot to get like, and that's what, you know, I really feel for artists. Like you can work and put your whole soul into a project, but that's only the stepping stone. Like that's only one step. You have to put yourself out there, whether you're self-marketing or having people help you and like push your stuff for you, or it's like word of mouth type marketing. Like you have to have a plan in place to get your stuff out there.
For sure. So you just mentioned it. Even if, you know, if you're an up and coming artist, if you're just starting off, still keep the mark. Obviously you work really hard to create a product. Let's just say Festiie, for example. We were like, hey, we had to become engineers and learn and create this device that would keep us together at festivals without cell phone connection, without Wi-Fi, without data. And then after that, once we were like, all right, we got it, complete shift to now we have to tell people about it and create this buzz and funnel people to support our movement, right? So if you're an artist, you know, obviously you want to hone in on what you're doing, but then you have to keep in mind that, guess what, all that energy I put into that, unless I already have a team of people behind me, I'm probably going to have to pave the way and push forward with just as much energy for the marketing aspect to get that launch off the ground. And that might be organically at first, with just starting off with 20 friends that are posting for you and reposting. And then it might build up to eventually saving up where you can reach out to a marketing agency or a PR firm and then get that kind of support and backing behind you. Can you talk about, now you did your internship and then you said you went to another internship, and did you just stay in the marketing, or did you start learning like, oh no, I like this aspect, I like this angle, and even though maybe I went to school for this, I feel more that I'm being pulled more in this direction, and so I'm going to go for that. Maybe you could talk about that part of your journey.
Yeah, definitely. So another thing I think I should mention, like where I am now is not what I thought I'd be, like even during or after college. Like I kind of post college, like right when I graduated, one of my old PR internship bosses offered me a job as a junior publicist. Took it because I was like, great, a job right out of college. This is awesome. And I get to work in music, like even better. And so yeah, it was like I did that for about a year. And I think it's like, I also think it's important to know that, like, how old was I? I was 22, 23 maybe. And like, for me looking back, like how I would have expected myself to have that all figured out at that age, like, like I knew, like in the moment, maybe it seemed right for me, or maybe it was just kind of, maybe I was more driven on like having a job, like keeping up with the status of my classmates, of like, like trying to, because like at least where I was from, like, came from college wise, like having a job right out of college is the ideal thing to do. You don't want to move back home with your parents and like find a job, like, because nobody tells you how hard it is to find a job after college. Like it's so hard. And so
Yeah.
I
going to festivals too, because festivals aren't really cheap, especially if like you're a college kid or you just recent grad. You're like, I still love going to festivals. I still want to, enjoy life, but at the same time, now I have to pay for bills. I gotta support myself. So yeah, keeping it real when you're saying that, like, these are the realities of
yeah.
life.
I mean, like at least when you're in college, you're kind of in this bubble still. Like it's not like it's semi-real life, but it's not really. And so you kind of have like this illusion of like what life would be like post-grad, but no one prepares you for the reality of it. So so anyways, I worked as a publicist. I started as like, junior publicist and assistant. And then I moved up to, and the way he was training me, was just so that way I can take on my own clients. And so eventually I moved on to taking my own clients, and it was a very interesting year, and it was a very interesting experience for sure. Like I learned the ins and outs of PR, and, I am grateful for the experience that I had and having that type of mentorship of, like just kind of like, I mean, one thing I realized about myself is that like, I thrive best when people kind of just give me the space to learn. Mm-hmm. And like, like don't try and like hold, like, guide me, but like, don't be so like overbearing about it. And so within that year or so that I worked for that agency, I started taking my own clients on, which was really great because, PR is such an interesting industry because it's like, one thing I've learned for sure during that time was like, just because I like it doesn't mean the whole world's going to like it, Yeah. And it's like, and I have such an eclectic like music taste, which made like my PR experience so interesting because I would choose clients that, could be anywhere from like, something that's a little bit more mainstream to like indie rock, like, or to like a funk band, because I liked it, which was kind of great because, it like really just, made my clientele so like diverse.
Yeah.
And then, as the year went on and time went on, I kind of started to learn like, and this is just something that you learn, like as you're pitching things, some things will pick up better than other things. And like, so you kind of start to gear your clientele towards what is going to sell. And, so PR is very interesting for sure.
Can you elaborate? Because maybe some viewers and listeners, they don't even know what PR is. So what's in a nutshell, what is PR and what does it entail? Like
Yeah. So the way I like to explain it is like PR, it is a small piece. It's a piece of the puzzle for sure. It's earned media. So basically, when you hire a publicist, you're basically hiring them to push your music out into the media. And a good publicist can range from someone who either has a lot of connections or someone who knows how to sell their stuff. And but like I said, the product is like half of the sell is the product, and that's part of the reason why choosing our own clients was such a good way to sell things, because it's like you sell things better when you believe in the product. It's like I'm not just going to go choose the first person that's going to give me the biggest paycheck. Yeah, maybe that would be nice, but will my pitch be better than it versus someone that's paying me like a quarter of that and I actually really love their stuff? Probably not, so
What is a pitch? What is a pitch?
So a pitch is basically it's a press release. That's the best way to put it. And a press release can be there's so many ways to do press release. There's a formal press release, which is like a page and kind of just, it talks about, what usually in just general terms, like what the product is, when it's launching, just the nitty gritty details of it. So that way the media can pick up and write an article on it. For music, it's a little different. And, PR in different industries is different. The more you go towards a Fortune 500 company, you're going to have the formal press releases. But, music is a little bit more lenient, and so is entertainment in general. A pitch can be a simple email. It could be an email and that literally just is hey, a general pitch that I'd write would be hey, so-and-so is releasing this single or album or whatever it is. And you kind of write a mini paragraph about in detail, what it sounds like. And it's so funny because I'll speak sometimes in those terms still about a song that I like. I'd be oh yeah, it has these lo-fi beats and blah, blah, blah. And that bedroom atmosphere. And it's such and people are what does that mean? I was oh, if you're in PR, you know what it means. It's just basically something to give the writer to understand and maybe use in their articles. And then usually sometimes, I always personally like to include quotes because I think quotes from the artist or the product is very valuable. And then just kind of usually a link to the song or the album, whatever you're trying to push. And then the release date, whether or not if it's going to be a premiere or a feature and that type of stuff.
Got it. It sounds fun, especially if it's an artist that you believe in, which obviously we hope all your clients, I'm sure you believe in. Is there maybe a story that you can share? You don't have to drop any names if you don't want to, but just kind of something that felt good in this experience. You reached out and then boom, and then the song started taking off or the product did well, and kind of how, because right now, and I think that encompasses the festival industry, the festival experience is it's all about connections and building that network. And then for something greater, right? People go to festivals and then they leave with this epic experience and then lifelong friends, So maybe talk about how you've been able to tap into that same energy, that same gratifying self-worth energy and just enjoyment from your career.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will say that I think there is this nice, when you're pitching for an artist that isn't so well known versus someone that is pretty well known, there's, an up and coming artist, that has maybe they've played the festival circuit, an early day slot or something, but they kind of have a few name recognitions versus someone that's not known. I know I've had a few instances where I've decided to work with the client that I found off of SoundCloud or something. And I I started pitching for them and I introduced their music to, certain writers. And these writers were just oh my God, this is awesome. I'm totally a fan now. So it's definitely that kind of it brings in that nostalgia of discovering something new. And I think that's kind of there's definitely writers out there that just love to, have that experience of because I mean in media, unfortunately there is the two sides of the media that will post, that will get the most clicks, and then there's the writers that are out there that are truly in it for the art form of it, of discovering new music. And so it's kind of that same nostalgic feeling, when you're at a festival and you walk past like a stage and you had no idea who's playing, but you're like, damn, I like what's playing right now. And you stay for the whole set. Like I've definitely like, that's how I found Unknown Mortar Orchestra, is like walking past the tent at Coachella one year. And I was just like, who the hell is playing this? I'm just going to stop here for like, you know, the remainder of the set. And it was like amazing.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. You said there's this balance. There's this kind of, well, it fluctuates, you know, and it's a dance between bottom line, you know, making sure, because this is still an industry and we have to make money, right? So, you know, getting ticket sales, getting artists to do, you know, X, Y, Z shows, and having that whole route. But then there's the creative route, which is kind of the opposite and immersive. So, you know, right now with people being at home, it's been a challenge, right? And the EDM community has done a great job responding with live streams, with opportunities to donate to artists' specific sets and whatnot. Talk about how you know, for this side of things, the marketing and PR, how's that going during these kind of times where there isn't really a festival season physically? There still is spiritually, because we're still pushing out the positive vibes. But, you know, obviously with the circumstances, how has that morphed the strategy of marketing / PR?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, these times are definitely rough. Like I'm feeling it firsthand for sure. Cause I mean, I don't work in PR anymore, and I work in more of the physical events and marketing realm. So I'm personally like feeling the hit. But, you know, and I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, damn, this is a shitty time to not be in digital marketing. Like, you know, but I think it's just kind of comes down back to that like adaptability. Like even the agency that I work for now, like, yeah, we like where I work for now is a primarily a physical space type of agency. Like, you know, we produce events. But, you know, there has been a pivot to like digital events and like, you know, doing more interactive digital space stuff. And I think, and it's seen like across, you know, the realm of marketing and the realm of events in general. And so, you know, I mean, even people that I know that are still in PR, they're kind of struggling too. Cause it's not like, it's just a chain reaction of things. Like, I mean, I know people that are in advertising and are doing fairly well. I know people that, you know, are working in the tech space and they're doing fairly well. I think it's kind of just not like a luck of the draw, but like, you know, who knows? Like, and I think it's just like adaptability at this point. Like,
Yes.
I mean, like, I don't know the fate of my job, honestly, in a couple months. Like, who knows? Like, who knows the fate of events in general?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, things keep getting pushed back. Like now they're saying like things won't happen until 2021, which hurts my heart, like on a consumer level, because like I just miss festivals so much. And I was looking forward to festival season so badly. And now I'm just like, oh, I can't even experience that this year at all this year. And then there's the aspect of me that it's like on the financial, like, career side of things, and I'm just like, is this the time for me to make another pivot? Like, do I need to choose another industry? Like, do I have to make a temporary change? Like, what's going to go on? Like, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, it is a strange time, and with festivals kind of being on this hiatus, you could say,
Yeah.
it is interesting, and companies are having a shift. Like literally us, Festiie, we created a product that is optimal for festivals. And then this happens, and we're sort of like, well, we have two options. Either we don't do anything and we just kind of go on this indefinite hold, sit on the sideline, or we look inwards, we reflect, and we say, well, what value can we add to the community right now? And for us, we're like, let's compile all the live streams, put them in one place, and put that list on our website. Let's create this podcast and spotlight all the stories that go into bringing the festivals to life, because it really is going to come down to that, where if we love this culture, if we love music festivals, there might be the time where we all have to step up and show that we support it so that it can happen, because obviously there's going to be concerns moving forward. And if it's first it was October, now it might be 2021 and so forth. I think nevertheless, we do all have that belief that it's going to happen, though. We are going to be back out there. It might take a while, but we will all be out there doing our thing, enjoying, spreading positivity, And right now is a big reflection period, right? So, with Festi, we're trying to comfort festival goers, keep everyone united. We're all in this together. At the same time, we want everyone to hold themselves to a higher standard once festivals do come back, right? Because we should, we care about it enough. So when we go back to events, smile at somebody, or if you see them wearing a cool outfit, compliment them. If you're going through the crowd, tell people, excuse me. If you accidentally bump into someone, say
throw
sorry.
away your trash.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. Throw away your trash. No one wants to dance on bottles, and let's care about it. Let's be cognizant of the trail we leave behind.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you went from marketing, PR, and then event production. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and what that looks like. Because like I said, if I'm at home and I am part of the incoming class of festival goers and I'm just excited and I want to get out there and I'm listening to this artist, and I may not necessarily want to invest and try to start doing my thing, but I want to be involved. I feel like event production is pretty close to all the action, right?
Yeah. I mean, so event production, I think it's so, like I said, like thinking back to where I was in college and where I am now, like I don't even think that I thought that events was what I wanted to do. I just knew, like I said, I liked music and I knew I liked festivals. And so I thought, even after I left PR, like I didn't think events was like where I was going to go either. I still figured I was like, I'm going to say music maybe would be for like a record label or something, or I don't know, maybe like a management company, like who knows, And so I think it's really important to note that like you kind of just have to be really open to like what the world is going to bring to you, and like thinking about where I am now, I was like, wow, this is like the perfect industry for me, because like I just love organized chaos. And that's pretty much what events are, is organized chaos. And you have to be a certain type of person to love the chaos that events bring, because like there are so many days where I'll sit at my desk like so stressed out and being like, I have so much to do, but I have like the biggest smile on my face because it's just like, it's so fulfilling and I just love it. But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, so how I got here is like so many side steps in what I thought was the wrong direction that happened to be the right direction. Like that's the best way I can explain it. So after I left, I stayed in PR for about a year. And then I decided somewhere along that line that like, this wasn't for me. It just wasn't, like, I always had this feeling like, and I say like PR is definitely just a piece of the puzzle. And I'm the type of person, like, I like to be in charge, and like, not saying that like you're not in charge when you're in PR, because that's definitely not the truth. It's just that I like big picture projects, and PR is not so much, isn't really a big picture type of career. It's a very niche, and like you generally work on campaigns, or you work, singular type of like in the moment campaign type of stuff, and like as things come, but I didn't really see it at the time, but I was like, I like planning, I like holistic type of things. And so and I was like, and I was missing marketing too, and like so I decided, like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and make my way back towards marketing. As I was trying to leave PR and I was interviewing for other jobs and applying for the jobs, I kept getting hit with the same two questions, which was, one, you have so much PR experience, why are you trying to leave? And two, you don't have enough admin experience to take on these marketing jobs. And I was like, but I have a marketing degree. Like, what do you mean? Like, and so basically I decided that the best move for me was to get more admin experience. And so I decided to take a receptionist job at a post-production company. And it definitely was a hit to my ego, because it's like, I was maybe a year and a half after graduation, and like looking at my classmates, and they're thriving in their careers and they're moving on up the ladder and all that stuff. And I'm over here going what seemed backwards and starting in an admin position, like, but it definitely was like a blessing in disguise. I think at that point in my life, I just needed a lot of change, like where I was in like on a personal level. And like, I just needed that, like kind of that, that moment that kind of just brings you back to yourself and kind of just breaks your ego down. So you kind of realize like what you want and what's important to you. And so I kind of was like had like this restart at this weird point in my life. Um, I knew, like, you know, I was like, okay, I guess I'll just reception at this job until I get enough admin experience to apply for other things. But during this time, I was looking on Craigslist or something for just, you know, because where I was at, the receptionist job that I was at had a lot of downtime, and they really encouraged having like a side hustle because there was that much, or like just a hobby you can do because there was that much downtime. But like, you're gonna get bored. Either like bring a book, or like if you have other work to do, like we don't care, like as long as it doesn't interfere with what's happening here. So I was like, okay. So I was on Craigslist one day and I found this, and this comes back to the bigger the post, sometimes it's good. Like I found this job posting. It was for a part-time marketing assistant, and I was just like, and it was remote too. It was like, wow, this is great. Like I can work from this office and, you know, whatever this job did. And so the posting literally said something like, we get brands in as sponsorships at some of the major music festivals in the country. And like, it was just like super simple. Like it wasn't like maybe a paragraph. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to apply. Like, you know, like when they listed some of the festivals, and I was like, oh yeah, like I've been to all of these. I know all of these, like, whatever. I did the whole like email, like pitch for myself with my resume. She got back to me 2 months later. And I think what had happened is she hired someone else, and that person didn't turn out too well. And then she was like, well, let's see the other pool of applicants that I have. And and it was definitely the best, like one of my favorite work experiences, like ever. Not only because did I have an amazing boss, like I've never, up until that point, I hadn't had like a really good boss that was not only a mentor, but like really just like simple things, like how to like reprimand me. Like when I made a mistake, it wasn't just like, oh, you did this wrong. And like, kind of, that was just it. It was like, this is not right because of X, Y, and Z. And it was very, you know, and I think that's like such an understated, like type of way to correct someone, because it's like, you know, we're so used to being like, that's wrong. Like, don't do that. Don't blah, 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 without explaining why things are wrong. You know, it's like, how am I going to learn? And so working for her just really created a space that like I felt safe in to like grow. And she trusted me a lot, you know, and like I really thrived in that position as her assistant. And I guess I should explain what the job was, but basically she would take brands, like, you know, she had brands that were clients, and she would set them up as sponsors at music festivals or private events and stuff. So if you've ever been to like, I mean, all major music festivals have this. And like, let's take Coachella, for instance. If you've been to the Heineken House, if you've been to like the Sephora tent, even some of the pedicabs, like they have branding on like the back, like those are all sponsorships, and sponsors are basically how the festival pays for things to get done. And so brands will sign on at first, and there's usually tiers, and brands will sign on as sponsors, you know, for whatever tier, and that usually gives them like a certain amount of like, usually maybe like a physical space where they can set up their own stuff, or like, you know, a certain amount of branding, maybe like a mention on the website, or like maybe a social media ad or something like that. So I did that for her for a few festivals, and it was really fun because it was like tying in everything that I loved. I was like, I get to be back in music, I get to be, but like more in the festival space, and like it was like my first real time working with brands, and like I didn't realize like how much I really actually liked working with brands. And so because it's like, and she chose clients that like, she really chose clients that she can get behind. And so like just seeing like, and so I got to learn about the brands and why they were great, and then like got to relay that message on like to why they should, you know, like, you know, when they would have a physical activation at a festival, you kind of get to be there and be like, well, this is why this product is great, like, you know, and it's like you can really be behind it. So it was like everything that I loved was like tying all together.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, like these brands, these activations, they help fund the actual festival in general. So I know there's kind of like we mentioned, the whole sales and advertising and marketing and versus just being a festival, but sometimes you have to do that. You have to intertwine the two. And I
Yeah.
think when you have to get creative and how, people like yourself are getting creative, you're finding a way to integrate that brand without it being so in your face about it, you know what I mean? Where it's actually something fun, something that, oh, okay, cool, like I'm interested in this. Oh, and it happens to be sponsored by XYZ brands. And then you get to go to festivals and do it. So maybe talk about that a little bit. We call it Festiie discipline. You go to these events, you love the event, right? This is a festival, but you're also there to work. So you have to be able to balance the two, right? So maybe talk about that, because I think anyone getting into this space has to understand, like, yeah, just because you're working in this industry doesn't mean like it's party time all the time.
Yeah.
You still have to, you're stepping into a place to work for the betterment of other people's experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've definitely seen some people that don't know where the line is or don't know how to distinguish between the two worlds, and it gets them in trouble and usually gets them fired. So it definitely, like, I think the best way to say it is, like, if you decide that you want to work in music or you want to work in festivals or events or, any industry, like, generally ones that kind of have like a lot of partying around it, you have to have a good amount of discipline, like self-discipline. Like, you need to understand where the line is. Because I mean, most of the time business and pleasure are going to mix, and, but you still need to remain. And I think that just kind of like professional. And I think that just comes back to like, create, like, the image that you have of yourself and like the image you are portraying to other people. Like, the person that I am in business and the person that I am, like, not in business is not too far off. Like, it's generally the same. Like, and I think that just comes like, I mean, like, there are times where I'm definitely going to let go, like when I'm not working at a festival, and I'll have, like, just kind of just go off and do my thing. But like, I still remain that sense of professionalism, because half the time I'm going to run into someone that I know that I'm going to work with. And it's like, you can't be a hot mess around them. So it's like, if you have to have that balance in your personal life as well. Like, you can't let, the fun and the partying consume you. Cause like, I've seen it happen so many times to like so many talented people where like the industry they'll get so caught up in the vanity of it, and then it'll chew them up and spit them out in a second. Like, like if you want it, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, you gotta just like be smart about your decisions. Like, I mean, like, I will definitely say, like, nowadays, like, when I'm at an event, like, I've been to events that I've worked events that I used to go to as an attendee, and now I kind of prefer working. Like, it's definitely a weird perspective on things. Like, like I worked Coachella last year with a friend, not like in a event production realm or even a PR realm, just kind of helping them out at their food and beverage booth. And it was a totally different Coachella experience than I've ever had in my life. And I had gone to Coachella for like 5-6 years. And it was kind of refreshing in a weird way, because, you're kind of like, it gives you a new perspective. Like, maybe I didn't get to wander around the grounds and like do whatever I wanted, but like, I held out my break or whatever to go see Tame Impala, which was like a band that I've been wanting to see forever, and it was like totally worth it. And so I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like having that discipline, because you're at an event, but you gotta take care of business. And let's talk about that though, right? Let's talk about the love for festivals. I mean, the love for the industry. What is it about music festivals that, kind of pulled you in? Because you mentioned it, like, out of college, we're looking at our friends and seeing what they're doing. And then you even mentioned kind of maybe even taking like a pay cut to still stay in the industry space, and weighing all that out. But then I'm sure what made you decide to stay in is thinking about the event, thinking about the experiences and the joys it's brought you. So talk about what roped you into music festivals and why they continue to be, extremely meaningful in your life.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that's such a loaded question. I mean, I've been to so many music festivals, like at least in the country. I haven't been to any international. It is on the bucket list. I will do it soon once all the travel bans lift, maybe. We'll
Yes.
see. But
Let's say we have a magical ticket right
yeah.
now, and it's for you, and you can go to a festival outside the U.S. Where are you going?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't even know. I don't know. There's a few in Australia that I find kind of interesting. Like it's called like Strawberry Field or something like that, or like Serpents something. But I mean, I think going to Glastonbury at least once,
Yeah.
even though I'm not a fan of the mud situation. I mean, a lot of UK festivals, they seem kind of grungy. I'm like still a princess in that aspect, even though I have been to, I don't know if you've ever been to a festival in New Orleans, but there's a lot of mud there.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, gosh, I think it's more the aspect of, you know, being around a lot of my like friends. Like, when I go, like, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but like when you're in something so much, you develop friendships in that area. And so a lot of my friends, like whether I don't know, have we met all the friends I'm thinking of that have we met at festivals, but like, or in some way, like somehow in some way music has tied us together.
yeah.
And so festivals is kind of happens to be something that we do together. And so it's just like, some people go on vacation with their family once a year. Like, this is my vacation with my family,
Yes.
and it's a way to connect. Like, and then like, especially now, like at the age that I'm at, like festivals have taken on a different meaning. Like a lot of my friends, we're all like doing different things with our lives. We're all moving on to different, areas of our lives. Some people are getting married, they're moving across the country, or, they're doing other crazy things. And so we don't have the accessibility to each other, as much as we did maybe in our, like when we were 21. And so, this is kind of like the time that we come together and connect and see each other. Maybe it's the first time we've seen each other all year. And, and so it's just that, and then being able to experience the artists that we all love together. And, yeah, so it's just kind of like I said, like a family reunion in a weird way.
Yeah, we all have that. I think we all have that feeling where, we could just close our eyes and remember being at an event. And then when you remember being at the event, you remember who you saw and who you saw it with. You know what I mean? And then who you told about it. Like, dude,
Yeah.
this is something that, and then you hear about, it's cool to hear about friends that have experienced things. And then you're just genuinely happy that they were able to experience that. And I feel like as a festival goer, you go through this transformation where in the beginning, you want to go to everything. You want to go hard. You want to, pump it up and just at this 100% all the time. And then you kind of learn like, oh, there's other genres. Oh, wow. We got this. Now I'm more into.
Or other types of festivals out there too.
Yeah,
like
all kinds of festivals. And then sometimes you go and it's not even about the art, like checking out the sets. It's more about the interactions with people that are there, with, like you mentioned, artist activations and brand activations, and just kind of immersing yourself in the whole experience, because something always comes out of it that you never even expected. And you just mentioned it in your story alone. That's clearly evident. You got into it as an intern. You said, hey, let's start here. Marketing took you to PR, took you to, having to deal with, and that was huge. You mentioned it, having to deal with your own ego and just say, you know what, ego, like there are bigger things ahead and there's a greater purpose to this. And then that leads you to now you're in event production. And I mean, it's super inspiring. So thrilled that you're able to jump on and share your story. Because I personally believe that it's going to inspire a bunch of people moving forward who want to get into the space. And it's great to see like what the future holds for you as well. I'm sure it's filled with more.
I mean, who knows at this point? We'll see, I guess. I mean, like, I mean, after I left that company that did the whole events, I mean, the brand sponsorships at festivals, like I took more side steps. Like I for reasons that seemed right at the time, which were, financially driven, and so, which happened to be not what I thought they were going to be, which brought me back to that whole like wrong side steps, like I've made mistakes, like type of feeling, like I shouldn't have given up X, Y, and Z. But then again, I think everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I ended up at the agency that I'm at now. And yeah, maybe it's not full on festival production, but it's still in the event world. I'm still working with great brands. And we do have that music component every now and then. Because I mean, the agency that I work for now is more brand driven. So like brands hire us and like based off what they want to do for the year, we execute those events. And sometimes they're at music festivals, sometimes, or they have a conference and we decide to hire a big musical act as a part of, that conference, which happens fairly often, which I never noticed before. But yeah, or even if it's like, just kind of like a store opening and they just want, a local legend to be there just to, hype up like someone that's very loyal to that neighborhood. So yeah, I mean, like it's just, you never really know. Like I would hope, I mean, the hope and dream is it's like, I love my job and I love the agency that I'm at. And will I stay here forever? Maybe not, probably not. But I think it's just one of the things, like I'm very open to it. Like how I got here was not by whatever you would think is the route to getting here. And I mean, with current climate, who knows like how events are going to change anyways. And so, I mean, like the dream is though, like I would love to move back towards like being strictly music festivals. And like, that's the goal in my head. Like, and I think the thing to note is like, you can't like, yeah, like have that goal in sight, but don't be so strict about how you're going to get there.
Yes. Yeah.
Like just be open to it. Like, like maybe it's going to take 5 more side steps in other weird directions that don't seem right, but maybe I'll still end up there. Like, or maybe, who knows, maybe that's not what's destined for me. Like, I think, you never know. Yeah. But like, I'm like, it's definitely changed my perception on events too. Like just finding out like what is, important to me, like when I go to events or like why I go to events now. So.
Okay. So you mentioned it. Literally, sometimes we always want to swim against the tide, and that's totally fine. But it could be as simple as just, I want to get to this point, and then I'm gonna immerse myself and learn and grow and see what opportunities come around and be open to learning. I'm gonna put my ego to the side, and then you know what? Eventually, I'm gonna be at that destination point because you start off as an intern. Now you're sharing your story, and I kind of want to end it with a super positive message to the community right now because, as you mentioned it, from all levels, we're all experiencing kind of just a constant period of transitions and having to be highly adaptable and figuring things out. But if one industry can do it, music festival industry can do it because it's fueled by, beautiful souls, beautiful stories, just like yourself. And just shed some light on us right now because I think we're all eager to get back out. We're all gonna make it out, and we're all gonna do this together.
Yeah, I mean, the festivals aren't. Maybe this isn't the year, and yeah, it's disappointing. Like, trust me, I'm firsthand like very disappointed that like I'm not going to be able to experience like that same nostalgia, the same things that I was looking forward to. But like that's okay. It doesn't mean it's going away forever. Like, I think it's important to note that like the health of now is what's going to bring the health for later. And if it means we got to make some sacrifices and like that's okay. We will adapt and we have adapted, and you kind of just got to, like I said, be open to it. Don't fight it. Just, I keep saying to people like, yeah, everything that's happening is super shitty. And like, it gets to me all the time. And like, I'll definitely get these moments where I'm like feeling very discouraged, but it's like, you can't dwell on that. You kind of have to just like see the light at the end of the tunnel, even if you can't see it. And, I think that this whole epidemic can just be a catalyst for a lot of positive change. Like you said too, like, you know, when you go back to festivals, like maybe it's going to change your perception of like what is important to you at that time. Like whether in like, you know, or maybe it's like, you know, like what, or maybe certain things that you're going to prioritize in your life. Like you can't, like you gotta just let the lessons that are going to come out of this happen and take it for what they are. And like, you know, like you said, go inward and reflect on them and like come out of this like a better person than you were when this all started. And then so that way we can all come together as a community and, you know, bring that positivity back. That, you know, like, I mean, the festival space has already been a very positive space. I mean, yeah, there's a few off people that are like kind of assholes over here and there, but like, in general, most people, like something I've always liked, is such the magic of festivals. Like everyone's there to like enjoy it together. And it's like, it's such a, you know, whether it's 3 days or 2 days or 1 day, like it's that period of time where you can come together and kind of just either forget whatever's going on in real life and just kind of be there present in the moment. And so I just think it's going to be, I hope, like, I mean, I have high hopes that once this is all over, you know, everyone's going to come back and like bring it full force, and it's going to be like a crazy transformation. It's going to, you know, people are going to have hopefully a new perspective on things, and it's going to trickle down from like outside of their personal lives and into like relationships with other people and the energy that they bring to the people around them. And it's going to create like a very nice energy, you know, in the festival space.
For sure, for sure. Yes, everyone. And it's okay, like she said, it's all right to feel down because, yeah, this does kind of suck, you know, but ultimately understand that, you know, what comes down is going to go right back up. We're going back up. We're coming out even stronger, even better, even more connected, and even more grateful, right, in just our interactions. So how can we support you? How can we stay in touch? What's your Instagram? You know, because I feel like someone's really moved by this, just to reach out, say thank you, or even, you know, for mentorship. You mentioned mentorship is a big deal, and, you know, we're all giving back right now. How can we find you? How can we stay connected to you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's at KANDI_Q, so Kandi Q. Fun fact, back in like my plur days, I've had people call me Candy Candace, so that's kind of where the name came from. If you dig really deep in the Instagram, you can find the plur photos. But yeah, so I mean, feel free to like hit me up. Like I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. Like maybe they feel their story isn't that special, or it's like, you know, it maybe not have that weight to other people, but like it does. And like, I'm always happy to share any type of insight, even if it's like how to send a good email. Like one of my like fun, like weird, odd things that I really like to do is like creating resumes. So if you want someone even to read your resume, like I will gladly read it and you know, give some constructive criticism back on it. I think that's something too to mention. A lot of people don't know how to send resumes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I'm open for any questions at all, or just, you know, if you even just want to talk or ask questions, like I'm here for it.
That's awesome. That's Plur vibes right there. Kandi Q. So, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. She's like, because when I was first introduced to you and we started talking and you're like, well, I don't think my story is that special or X. And I'm like, no. She started telling me a little bit about it. I'm like, this story is special because there are so many people that want to be involved. And like I said, that doesn't mean being the main act, but just being a part of something that they love. And it could start as simple as going online and searching for internships and then see, you know, what it can transpire to. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Kandi on everyone. Kandi Q, Kandi Kid, former raver, right? No, you're still out there.
I mean, like I still rave in my heart. Like I've been jamming out to all these like live streams in my room. Like, oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah, check us out. Festiie lineup. We have like, we update it every week. We have like 200.
I think that's so awesome. I've been like Googling each place's like individual schedules. So it's awesome to know that you guys have a schedule.
Check it out. And we update it, and we actually pick like our favorites. We put a little fire sign next to it, Festiie Fire, like, oh, this set was amazing. Obviously, we got to watch more sets because
Yeah.
they're
They're
probably
like they're
always
ripping them out. Like it's crazy. Like I was like, what's the one that's having Reconnect right now? I haven't been able to keep up. Like I watched Boys Noise this morning at like 7 a.m. just because I fell asleep yesterday.
Yeah. See? So everyone stay connected, stay positive. Thank you so much, Candice, for hopping on the Festiie Files podcast, and we'll stay in touch. Everyone, Festiie Files signing out. I'm Desmond Beristain. Peace, love, unity, and respect. Cheers.
Thanks.